Thanks for tuning in to the Women's Vibrancy Code, a podcast dedicated to helping women move from exhausted to energized, balance their hormones, and feeling turned on by their life, their lover, and themselves. I'm your host, Maraya Brown. I'm a Yale and functional medicine trained women's health expert, midwife, mom, keynote speaker, and self-made entrepreneur. I'm the founder of my signature program, the Women's Vibrancy Code. So sit back, relax, and let's chat about your energy, hormones, libido, and embracing your feminine power. Oh, and you might want to have pen and paper to take some notes on some of these episodes. Okay, everyone, Maraya Brown here with Elsa Morgan. And wow, we get to talk about the mindset of success and hear Elsa's story of going from poverty to being on stage. And then it sounds like also creating stages for women. She's joining me from Australia. So it's 4 a.m. for her. I'm like, oh, girl, no. But she's a morning person. So I like to not talk till 10 a.m. She likes to talk at 4 a.m. We're good. And we're on different days and we're working it out. Let me read her bio. And really, truly, this is going to be one of those where you want to lean in and allow yourself to feel the feels. I imagine there will be aspects of you listening to this where there will be jaw-dropping moments and disbelief and awe and excitement. And so get ready for some nitty-gritty solutions to like note-taking, but also get ready to allow yourself to feel the feels. So let me tell you a little bit about Elsa. She's the founder of the Legacy Academy, which I'm sure we're going to learn more about. A business owner, a coach, an author, a speaker, a wife to her best friend, a mother to 2 incredible children, a daughter, and a sister. She has been in the online space since 2015. Her main focus is catering to the forgotten generation of women over 40 who are building online businesses. She's experienced in developing teams and coaching leaders and inspire through content on social media. She is determined to help as many women as possible achieve best months or breakthrough months in their business. And her Facebook and Instagram and TikTok links are in the show notes. So hi, Elsa.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for being here, for allowing me to be here. It's such an honor, Maraya. Thank you.
I'm glad to be here and I'm looking forward. You know, we've shared a coach for the last year and just kind of leaning into each other's work and cheering one another on and supporting one another. And I said, let me bring you in. I want to hear more of your story. So this is going to be fun for me because there's a lot of this that I really don't know. I've heard kind of like the surface tidbits, such as your bed was 3 chairs growing up. Is that true?
Yeah, 2 chairs. I had 2 dining chairs as my bed for the first 18 months of my life. We were poor as a family. And so I had no physical bed. It was literally, we were all in one room and my makeshift bed, which is 2 dining chairs, was in one corner. Then there was my parents' bed, like moved into, next to it so I didn't fall over. And then my brother's bed, single bed on the other side. And so we all like roomed into one bedroom.
Wow. And can we fast forward? Can you paint a picture of what your life is like today?
It's certainly, at one point in time, I didn't think this was possible, but now that I'm here, I think what else is possible? But I have elements of, I'd say, time freedom. And when I say time freedom, I'm creating, meaning I have my coaching business, etc. So I'm still working per se, but I don't see it as work. So that's why I say I have time freedom, because I'm doing something that I love and I get rewarded for it handsomely. I get to spend time with my children. So I took my daughter, for example, to ballet in the middle of the day, and I had no one to report to. It was just me, just blocking out time in my calendar. And my husband works from home. He still works for a company, but we will be retiring him out within the next 12 months. We've already mapped it out. And but he works here from home. And so I get to see him, obviously in different capacities, but and we in the last 12 months, like we've purchased this house, which, once upon a time we dreamed about living here. And we're here in this area, in this amazing house. And, not that the how can I say, these are all things, they're just nice to haves, but you have a sense of accomplishment because once upon a time you have this vision about the kind of lifestyle or the kind of life that you would like to live. And now that I'm here and I'm living this life that I really love, I really want to empower women to be able to step into their power so that because it's available to them, like our coach tells us, it's available to them. You have to obviously work on yourself, etc. But I'm just really grateful I didn't quit.
Can you boast a little bit more? Girl, I've seen that car. I've seen that house.
I'm very humble in that regards. Like I love showing people on social media, but I'm very aware that I've worked really hard for it. So I don't ever want to project to people that, hey, you can just latte your way to the top. It's literally been a process of stripping away layers, working on myself every day. So me getting the best out of myself allows me to get the best out of other people. And but yeah, the house is amazing. We've expanded our portfolio. I mean, if you want me to go there, we doubled our investment portfolio in terms of property last year. We purchased our dream cars. We purchased our dream house. We get to travel. We get to do all those things. And once upon a time, before I entered the online space in 2015, I really did wonder when I found out that I was pregnant for the first time, how am I going to spend time with my child? I'm working 60 to 70 hours a week. I'm exhausted as it is. How am I going to get the best out of me to my child? Like I was really stuck, and it was literally like 3 or 4 months later that the online space and the opportunity to earn online presented. But it's I walked away from a 20-year career in sales. I was successful, and knowing full well that I was recreating my life and who I was in my 40s.
And so when you say online space, that first started in the network marketing world. Is that right?
Yeah, in network marketing. And it was purely, I came across it, Maraya, just through product. I wasn't looking for an online opportunity, a business opportunity. I put it out there, like we were looking for ways. And my girlfriend had been talking about this product for over 2 years. And I'd say to her, like, there she goes again. She's talking about this thing again. Like, and I didn't understand why she kept talking about it, because I'd known her for 20 years and I'd never known her to be so passionate about a particular product. And it wasn't predominantly around weight loss, but it allowed you to lose weight. And I couldn't lose the last of my baby weight. So I said to Olaf, okay, I'm going to reach out to her. I bet you we're going to get our money back. I just want to try it because she keeps talking about it, because I don't know what else to do. And I literally reached out to her and I said, listen, I trust you. I believe in you. We've known each other for 20 years. I'm fully expecting this not to work because I've tried all the things to lose the last of my baby weight. And Maraya, it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And then I discovered that people were earning income with it. Like people were able to stay home, which is what I had wanted. People were staying home with their children. And that's how I entered the space. And I just went, how come nobody ever asked me about this before? Because with network marketing, you build businesses with product and customers, but also, asking people if they're open for the business. And I just thought, if someone had have asked me that 5-10 years prior, I may have been open and I may have entered a lot earlier, but I had zero idea that it even existed. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like it was very fruitful for you.
Yeah, I love it. For me, it's I wouldn't be here. I've learned so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. I know there's a lot of people out there that project that network marketing is easy. I'm not one of those leaders. I will always tell you that you have to treat it like a business to be paid like a business. And you need to, set your hours. And it's like one of my earlier coaches said, you need to treat your business like you're going to your job, like set your hours, you do your work. And, because otherwise you can easily fall into this trap of, I don't report to anyone, I can do whatever I want. And it's simply not that way. But I love it. I enjoy it. I've met incredible people in there. I mean, everyone's into personal development. So you're surrounding yourself with people that intentionally want to grow, and they're great products.
And so I'm hearing this kind of rags to riches story, or poverty to stage, and now creating stages for others. And there's a great deal of humility. I'm not going to push you, but Elsa has created tremendous success. And I hear loud and clear that there have been moments that weren't easy, and some really big things, that adversity that you had, that you found ways to overcome. And I'm sure that they have served you along the journey.
Yes.
So I'm curious if you would be open to sharing any of that.
Yeah, I think one of my life's challenges, certainly in this economic climate, would definitely serve. I believe. I filed for bankruptcy after the GFC, after the global financial crisis, and it was one of the reasons why was the GFC, because. And I'm still processing that this happened, so just bear with me. But I actually fell victim to a Ponzi scheme, a real life Ponzi scheme. I didn't know it at the time. Obviously, I didn't know it at the time. It was a property Ponzi scheme, and it guaranteed tremendous returns. I was extremely naive, and I invested a ton of money. And with the GFC hitting, obviously. It just fell apart. The Ponzi just totally fell apart. And through the chasing, etc., then I realized that it was fraudulent. But I was banking on that return to be able to bail me out of the situation that I was in, because my ex-husband had left me for somebody else extremely younger than I am. We were only married 3 months. And he departed. He decided to depart, and what had happened is a lot of our joint loans, he defaulted on all of those. So I had all those creditors chasing me, even though they were loans for him, like his car loan were under joint, because I was the major breadwinner, and at the time, and so out of that. I had creditors chasing me. I was maxed out on credit cards. The Ponzi scheme, the GFC, it was crazy. And then, my husband having left me, it was like a hit after hit after hit after hit within, I'd say, 6 to 7 month period that this all happened. And it was extremely challenging and tumultuous. I was a very different person prior to that, and valued things very differently, treated people very differently. And I just thought I was invincible, but in a different way. Now I think I'm invincible in another way, meaning to empower people, that I say to myself every morning, Elsa, you can do hard things because of the inner chatter, etc. So that's my fallback. But back then I saw life very, very differently. And so that experience taught me so many lessons that I would never have learned had I not hit the bottom of the barrel. And it's literally been a process since the last 13 years of really getting better with money. I'd say I have a very good relationship with money, strengthening my relationship with money, really respecting money, and learning to trust myself again, how to make good decisions. Because for a minute there, I just didn't believe I could make this good decisions as a direct result of all the things that had happened in such a short period of time. But then I realized that it was through those failures that I was able to really discover what I really wanted out of life, because I literally walked away after filing from bankruptcy and then this really toxic marriage, that I had a blank canvas. And suddenly I saw this world ahead of me going, okay, so what do I do with my life? And I started some counseling. And up until that point, I'd been drinking very heavily, drinking myself to sleep, because I just hadn't really processed the pain of everything that I'd gone through. Excuse me. And my counselor said to me, what brings you joy? What brings you happiness? Can you think back in time in your life, something that really makes you happy? And I said, actually, running makes me happy, because in high school, I was a distance runner. I was a sports captain. So I had leadership roles in high school. And she said, well, why don't you go back to running? And I went, okay. So that's what I did. I just, like Forrest Gump, I just started to run. And at the time I was living with my parents, and I would literally drive 25 minutes into the city of Melbourne. And there's this huge park. And there's a sort of like a running track. It's called the Tan. And so I would go there, and each lap was about 3.2 kilometers. And I would literally just go and do laps, come home, shower, and go to work. And that whole time that I was doing that, it was the start of the beginning of the new me, because I then started to realize what I wanted, what I didn't want out of life. What did I really want to do with my life? And from starting there, I entered myself into my first 5K race. And then I entered into my 10K race. And from 10K, I ran many. And then I moved up into half marathons, and I've now run 23 half marathons, and then moved up into marathon running, and I've now run 12 marathons. And I'm wanting to run 13 next year, my 13th next year. But it was through that period of heavy distance running that I tapped into me, healed, started that healing process, right? And when I actually decided I'm going to run all around the world. I'm just going to travel all around the world and run and be free and be single, because I thought to myself, who's going to want to date, or who's going to want to be with a woman who's filed for bankruptcy? That was the story I was telling myself. And sure enough, my husband presented right at that time.
So I'm hearing a few things. I'm hearing childhood, and when you were very young, of pretty extreme poverty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing a theme of being the breadwinner within your marriage. And then a really intense time in that 2008, 2009 time where it all came crashing. Husband left, bankruptcy, drinking the sorrows away, not feeling the feels, and running, like Forrest Gump, running being that thing that helped propel you forward. So is that something that you recommend to the women that you work with? I mean, is that part of what you do, is also recommend body movement? Or
yeah, actually, I don't necessarily recommend you run 12 marathons, but what I do recommend is that every single day you move your body. That's part of my system. And I have an actual business system that's proven, that's helped me to build successful businesses. And I even still struggle to say that, Maraya, because I still sometimes sit here in gratitude going, how did I get here? I sit here and I go, I'm so grateful that I get to sit here and, like, for example, in this moment, speak to someone as amazing as Maraya on a podcast to empower women. Like, this is amazing. And when you sit here in gratitude, you realize, wow, like I'm really proud of me, right?
Yeah.
But my system that I've been adopting for the last 4 years, like every single day, move your body for 30 minutes. And it's scientific. There's science behind that. If you don't move your body at least once for 30 minutes within an 8-hour period, you suffer the same risk as someone who chain smokes or is obese.
Yeah.
So I encourage my women to always look after themselves, to practice self-care, not just in movement, but also in how they value their body in terms of nutritional choices. Because especially if you're wanting to go and and change your life, like be the change maker in your family unit. That requires energy, focus, determination. You need to be fueling your body for that, because you know your not only is your brain and the way that your mindset is changing, but physiology, you know, is also changing. Your body's changing, because as you are changing and evolving, your body's inherently changing as well, because you're training your brain to be that next level version. And so I say to them, look after yourself with what you eat. Like, make smart choices about how you eat, because that's going to help you to stand, especially if you're on social media, to be able to show up powerfully and be a great example of making great choices and looking after yourself and choosing you as well.
Absolutely. You're preaching to the choir here. And can I ask you kind of a bold question? Because I heard you say kind of abuse of alcohol.
Yes.
And so are you now sober, and how are you diving in and releasing and expressing emotions in a different way today than you were at that point?
For me, that's a really, really good question. I didn't actually become sober as a direct result out of that. I became sober because, for health reasons, but then I realized I didn't like the person I became the day after.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? The day after, I just didn't feel good. Yep. I don't know if anybody can relate to when you have a heavy day of drinking, or you even have one glass, and I just couldn't think with clarity. But the way that I feel now with clarity, I want to stay in that space. But
oh my gosh, I love that you're saying this, and I want you to be able to continue. But this is one of the big things that I say is, it's not about I can't have this XYZ thing. For me, it's not that I can't have gluten or dairy or sugar or alcohol. I pretty much, for the most part, choose not to.
Yes.
Because I love feeling good. Yes. And I know what happens, even just one glass of wine or one amazing glutinous croissant. I know how it makes me feel the next day, and it's not worth it. Nope. And when we get to taste the goodness of feeling good and having brain clarity and feeling happy, it's like, that's what we want. It's not from a place of deprivation. Okay. No. So then what about allowing emotions and the feelings to be expressed? I imagine that was new from, I can make guesses around a childhood. When we grow up in childhoods that are tough, we've got to kind of get the street smarts and toughen up. There's not really space to feel the feels and express our emotions. But now, is it fair that with the lifestyle you've created, and she does have my dream car, just as a heads up, she's being humble. The girl has my dream car. How is that experience of your life different today?
So once upon a time, I was I'm not perfect at it, Maraya, but let's just say prior to Shamina, right?
Yeah.
I would just vent out. Do you understand? But I was coming from an unhealed place. I hadn't really delved into that whole. I suffered trauma when I was in my childhood as well, by the way. And one thing, could I just slightly digress? One thing, and you would be extremely surprised by this, and I talk about it because it's important for people to understand that the smallest thing you could actually carry and shape who you become as an adult. But I was wrongly accused when I was 9 of graffitiing the girls' toilets in school. And I had my teacher actually pull me out of the classroom and take me to the girls' toilets. And there was all this graffiti about how much this teacher hated this particular teacher. And in one space, it was signed by me. Someone had signed my name. And so this teacher had taken this as yes, you did do it, even though I didn't do it, but I had to clean those toilets by myself. And I didn't realize how much that moment really shaped my ability to not trust women for a very, very, very long time. And it wasn't until I did some deep healing and I did hypnosis that took me back to that moment. And and it was like a wow. And that's how I started that process of being able to peel back the layers and put up boundaries, but also have constructive conversations with women versus feeling like disempowered or feeling giving away my power, so to speak. But once upon a time, to answer your question, I just didn't know how to really properly handle it other than exercise. Like I would run to just release. I would put myself in very extreme situations, like for example, in network marketing, prior to now knowing what I do, and I'll tell you about how I do it at the moment. Prior to not what I do now, I would put myself in extreme building situations like work until just to numb the pain. I just didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with it. And, but I just was always in my masculine, always in that masculine space and thinking I have to be strong. I have to show up. And, you know, I've overcome poverty. I've overcome, trauma in my childhood. I've overcome bankruptcy. This is nothing. So it was, but not processing. And, but now I have a journal, and I deliberately, intentionally journal. Even when I don't want to, I do a brain dump every day. It's like I release all the things that are going on in my mind. And especially if something is troubling me, I do ask myself the question, like, is this real? Like, is this really real? Because I'm a little bit more aware of things that could be potentially triggering to me. And I remember the other day, there was something that someone had said to me, and I'm driving, I go, right, I know I have to work on that. Right, because I knew that the way that it made me feel, it was something that I shouldn't really, in the context of the whole situation, I shouldn't really feel that way. And so I knew I now know that I had to do work in that area and just do a little bit of a deep dive as to why that's come about. And so, but it's because through that work, and I do meditation every morning, I do deep breath work. I literally take myself back as well. I spend a few minutes and take myself back to my inner child. And I see my younger version sitting on my bed during the years where I was going through trauma, and in my bedroom, and I can see myself just sitting there, very lonely. And I'd walk in and I'll just hug myself. And every single day I do that because I just have this belief that, I want to be that person for her that she didn't have at that point in time. And that's how I just am going through that process of healing that inner child. And it's serving me, and I do some floor work, and then I throw myself into a cold shower.
Cold shower. Yeah.
Yeah. And the cold shower, Maraya, like some people think it's extreme, but for me, extremely therapeutic.
Yep.
Because I just feel like it calms me. That's the best way I can explain it. It calms me. In that moment, at the first moment, it's like I say to myself, you can do hard things, and I step into the cold shower and I just feel into it. And then when I step out, I feel good. Yeah.
There's actual research to show that it helps the adrenals, it helps the nervous system go to feeling safe. I love what you're saying about journaling. I've heard people say that their pen is their most potent tool in their growth and their business.
Many packs every month.
Yeah. And of course, I can't wait to tell you about rest. On a side note, for within the Women's Vibrancy Code, all the women that come into my space, I cover the cost of a few rest sessions, and rest is kind of like what you're saying. It's going back to the initial moment of what happened, going back to inner child work, going back through NLP, hypnotherapy, Ho'oponopono, Reiki. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about it now, but like remind me when we're off camera.
Yes.
I want to tell you about rest as a technology.
Yes.
It's potent. So then you launched a coaching business.
Yes, last year I officially launched it in May with a 5-day challenge, but my program didn't start till really late June. But decided to go into coaching simply because back in 2019, I had a coaching company actually give me a tap on the shoulder and say, hey, we think you'd be a really good coach for the profession of network marketing, and we love how you're showing up. Would you be open to having a conversation? And I never really saw myself as a coach for the profession before. And I just thought, okay, I'll come and we can have a conversation. And I entered this world, and it really is my gift zone. I really had not tapped into it or anything to that effect, but I am good at it. And I own that. I'm good at that. And I'm good at extracting the potential out of women. I remember my healer once upon a time said to me, you're going to be a coach and you're going to be talking on stage. And I laughed and said, me. Right? But yes, I launched it last year in April. And in terms of the company, at May, we launched with a 5-day challenge. We had over 150 people join a 5-day challenge. And out of that, I launched a 6-week. And it's just been expanding and expanding since then. So now I have a premium one-on-one, and then my core program is a group accountability program where I help women to build businesses, whether they're in network marketing or traditional, because now I'm also coaching CEOs and traditional business owners as well. And it's amazing. I love it.
And that's Legacy Academy?
That is Legacy Academy, yes.
And I heard in your bio, you speak specifically to, what was it, for women over 40. It said the hidden, the lost, the forgotten generation of women over 40. So are you really specifically working for women, working with women who want to build whatever the business is and network marketing, their own business, entrepreneurs, but really that generation of kind of like a very distinct age range?
Yes. And it's because I have found, I don't know, I can't tell you, I haven't actually looked at the science. You might know, Maraya, but women over 40, they hit around about that age, 39, 40, 41, 42.
Yep.
They're going through physical change, emotional change, relationship change, because many either have a changing dynamic in the family unit because, children exit out and they go to college or university, or like me, they're having children at that point in time, because stats show that there's a lot of women that are having children in their 40s, like myself. They'll have a relationship change in terms of their partner as well. Dissatisfaction in their career. Is this really what I want to do with my life? And of course, there's a whole, menopause, entering menopause, many women. And so there's this whole changing phase right there in that moment. And because of all this stuff that's happening, they suddenly have this awareness like, do I really want to be here for the next 10, 20 years?
Yep.
And so when they want to create their online business, some of the challenges that they face include, but I haven't done anything before, or I failed so badly before, or I played basketball in my 20s and we lost. And so I'll never, ever win in building a business. So it's all these stories that they tell themselves about not winning, plus navigating all the challenges in life. And they feel like they just don't have this opportunity to build a business. So my system allows them the opportunity to understand exactly what they need to do. So get them out of the overwhelm stage, bring them back to center, help them to get organized, understand the money-making moves, and then also start tapping into some of the layering around their programming as well.
Ooh, I could say so much about this. So yeah, so
I
that
knew it was your flavor, but yes,
yeah,
that's the reason why, to be quite honest.
yeah, it is so valid because that perimenopause chapter is really age 30, can start as early as 35.
Yeah.
35 up to right around 52. An average age of menopause is 51 and a half right now. And it literally, there are so many changes happening physiologically.
Yeah.
Even the estrogen that's being produced starts to become a different estrogen. So rather than estradiol, it's estrone.
Yeah.
And the adrenals are being asked to work in a very different way. And so women, absolutely, estrone is the estrogen that's much more single-minded. It's much more unapologetic. And so women start building this fierceness, but then they also have new irritability, and they start taking an account of, how did my life go so far? What's worked? What hasn't worked? What unfinished business from an emotional standpoint is there? And there's a churning. I think of it as the caterpillar going into the chrysalis.
Yes.
And in the chrysalis, it becomes goo. It's like, I'm just liquid over here. And I don't even know what it's going to. And here's the deal. The caterpillar, the goo, the butterfly all have the same exact DNA. It's just a different expression.
Yeah.
And so in that space, I get to help them from a physiological and hormonal perspective and bring their passion alive. And I love that you're working with the women in that space, helping them come alive in regard to, what do I want to do in business? And how do I work through my stinking thinking? And what is this going to look like? And do I want to be in this relationship? And how do I want to exist? And I've also either been pregnant or breastfeeding from age 35 to 42. So I see you, my friend. And I think we work with very similar clientele. I mean, obviously there's always the outliers. I have women that will come and work with me in their 20s, their 30s, their 60s, their 70s, but there's this general, like, that's such a juicy time.
It is. And it's an exciting time because you are right. Women have a fierceness, and that's my role, is to unlock that potential, because they see me and they see what I've created. And a lot of them say, yeah, but how did you do it? I just said, listen, you just got to trust the process. I know that that's not what you want to hear, but you have to understand that there is no magic pill. Like, you want to get here, and you will get there, but you just got to trust the process. And, social media is great, and is also not so great in many aspects, such that people have this distorted perception that you just buy into a business and instantly you become a millionaire, or you can, generate $10,000 months. And it's simply not the case. You do need to, as you know, Maraya, you need to show up. You need to build that credibility online. People need to see that you're worthy of them handing over their hard-earned cash. And I just believe that the buyers are a lot more discerning in this day and age. And so you have to show up even more powerfully. Yeah. And so for me, I'm teaching about all of that, how consumers are buying and all of that. And but I love it. I'm so grateful. I look back at my journey, and I just think, I'm so grateful that my father migrated to Australia when everyone else laughed at him. When he made the decision to migrate from Argentina, because I wouldn't be afforded the opportunities that I had whilst I've been in Australia. And then I'm so grateful that out of that, I'm so grateful that I backed myself coming out of bankruptcy, because I would never be here. I wouldn't have met my husband. We wouldn't have our children. We wouldn't have the experiences that we've created. You just have to just trust that with every single step that you're taking, it is a forward motion, no matter how small that step is. Forward motion is forward. And that's all that matters is, and I'm learning that even from some of the people that play at the very, very big space, like Alex Hormozy and Ed Milet. I know they're male examples, but that, I resonate with their messaging where they say, you just have to just keep moving every single day, like steps in every single day. And that's been me. That's honestly been me, Maraya. There's no magic pill. There's no formula or anything like that. I just believe that you just keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Take on the
Didn't I
lessons.
see something that you also won, like some big award or some top something rather in Australia?
I was nominated for the Osmompreneur Awards, which is, in the business space in Australia for women. That's a cup, they're prestigious awards.
Yeah.
And so I was nominated, and it was something like over 16,000 entries overall. And to be a finalist in one of the top categories is it's pretty exclusive. And I was very honored for that, because for me, one of the questions they asked me is, why should your story be told? I said, because so many women just believe that they're not worthy, that their lot in life is just, there's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mum, but so many women are happy to accept that because they just go, oh, I won't go for that thing because really the children need me, or anything like that. But really, I believe if you have this desire to build something, whether it's painting, whether it's, I don't know, art and craft, or whatever it is, like, go and do it, because that's where you're destined to go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your destiny, that's your potential, that's what you're meant to be creating in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's I don't know, Maraya, I feel
well, and
incredibly.
I know plenty of women who they know that their destiny is to serve their children, and they're the most fulfilled being home as a full-time mom. And that is a huge, ginormous job.
100%.
And I think there are also others that long for something else.
That's my point. I have, and for me, my decision to move into business was because I wanted to spend more time with children, my children. So I love that. I get to hug them whenever I want, I cuddle them. And for me, that's my jam, is my children. Yeah. And so for sure, absolutely. I'm also servant in that way, is holding space for them and not fostering their growth. But I also know that, and again, I'm not going to profess to understand the whole DNA of women, but we just have this ability to just go, you know what, I won't do it. Like, it's okay. Like, the children need me right now. And that's all. It's okay. That's all I'm going to do. And they give up on their dreams because, and for me, my message to women is, but what if you could actually have both? Because I believe you can. I'm not saying it's easy, but I believe you can. You can have it. It's a juggling act, and some days are going to be better than others, and it's messy, right? But I'm an example of it. That I'm creating. Yet, and I get to create from home. I get to take my children, like, to ballet, to school, and be a mum, and do all those things. But yeah, it is possible, and I don't want women or men, for that matter, or fathers for that matter, to feel like they can't pursue their thing. They can. Yep. They can. It's not a perfect thing though, but they can.
And I'm an example too. I don't know if I was working as a women's health provider, and I started in a network marketing business. And for me, it was like that beacon of the possibility to work when I want, from where I want, with whom I want.
Yes.
And of course, along the journey, the personal development, the leadership skills, the learning, the online space. And that then became the thing that I go, wow, I'm so grateful. The skill set that were built there, mixed with my training and experience as a women's health provider, brought me to where I am today with the Women's Vibrancy Code and all the things that I do. And yes, then I brought my husband home, 16 months ago. And he's the stay-at-home dad, so to speak, but also, helps run the business. And I'm there at drop-off and pickup every day for school. I get to go to soccer practices and games, and, it's not all peaches and cream. When I first started, you betcha I was up till, I'll never forget, my neighbor said, I see you, that light is on into the wee hours of the morning. You're working a lot, aren't you? I said, yes, but I was building, and I still am, but it continues to take on new shapes and forms and becomes easier, because I know that the easier is important for the next level of growth. So I think at the beginning, that white knuckling it, I don't know, maybe to the first 6 figures, it is kind of needed to really get the momentum going, just like learning to ride a bike.
Master the basics as well.
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
I didn't know you're a network marketing sister. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it is totally like like I said, you run your children to soccer and things like, you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah. Okay. Last question for you. Cause I'm sure there's like some nuts and bolts. If you were to say 3 hacks to the women who are feeling like they're not moving, they're feeling stuck, they want to change, what would just be like 3 hacks that you would give them?
So one of the things that I always talk about is auditing your environment. I'm really big on that, Maraya. Like that's an instant shift. And when I say environment, I don't just mean physical environment. Yes, like remove clutter, because I believe clutter, takes up energy. For me, it does. Like if something is out of place, you saw it before. If something is out of place, it's got to be moved, because I'll think about it. Before
I push record, she's like, wait, there was a piece of paper or something behind her. I hadn't even seen it, but she's, I have to move this.
Yeah, it's just my brain. And so if it's out of place or things have to be put away, just put it away. Audit the people that you hang around with. They generally do affect how you think, feel, speak. You are the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. Yeah. Audit what you consume every single day in terms of nutrition, social media. All of these things have a vast effect on the way you operate. And so if you want to get unstuck, I'd be going there first. That's where you can create instant shifts. Mm-hmm. Your nutrition, your immediate environment, your virtual environment is instant. The next thing that I'd be talking about is in getting unstuck is looking at what actually got you started. So for me, whenever I feel like, okay, nothing is moving, I always look back to what actually got me started. What actually got me started in the online space was $500 after I discovered that there was an income opportunity, and I'd lost all the weight. I thought, $500 a month back then for us was life-changing. It gave us breathing space. And so for me, I think, I got to $500 a month. And then from there, I was able to go to 4 figures, per month, etc. And then it was a process. So if I can do all of those things, I can do this. And so for me, I say to my girls, right? My girls, what got you started? I got, it was because of this. I wanted time freedom. I wanted this. And what have you achieved so far? And so we always drill back to the little things, that they've achieved. And so when people feel like they're not moving, it's because they're so attached to the result, because they're not moving towards the result. But if they actually look back and look at all the things that they have achieved, mm-hmm. whether it's results-based or little stepping stones, they'll go, wow, I actually am moving in the right direction. And so for me, that provides a different perspective, and a shift is just to look back to connect the dots to where you are today, because from where you got started. And you'll realize that all the little things, even though the non-results-based things are getting you to where you want to go. And in that moment in time, you're learning lessons that are going to help you to the next level. Mm-hmm. Right. So I always do a perspective shift with my clients in terms of getting unstuck. And then the next thing that I tell them to do is, I want you to set like a 30-day goal. I say to them, set a 30-day goal. It doesn't have to be business related. It can be personal related. It could be like weight-based, walking, getting on to meetings on time. It could be anything, getting up earlier, whatever. And I just want you to work towards that. And if you fail one day, start again, give yourself grace and just start again. You're not a failure. You're just learning every single day. You just have to look at it that way, and just work towards achieving a 30-day goal. Because if you can achieve a 30-day goal, then you can achieve another 30-day goal. And just by programming your mind for little wins every single day, you are then taking yourself out of this space of I'm not winning in this area, but you start winning in this area. Mm-hmm. And suddenly you have an energy shift that can translate into other areas of your life.
One of my mentors said, how do you eat an elephant?
Yes.
One bite at a time.
Yeah.
Not that anyone would ever eat an elephant, but it's like, right. Sometimes we need to chunk it down and really celebrate the little wins. And it's the same in the health field and the weight loss field and all of it. We get to celebrate the little wins along the way. Okay. Awesome. Any last words that feel incomplete for you that you want to say before we close this out?
For me, I just want to empower women to say, just go for it. Mm-hmm. I'm now moving into, coaching with women per se. And I still have an online business, but my gift zone is coaching. And I'm now moving into creating stages for women. I've got a book collaboration that's just been announced where I'm going to be creating the first legacy book, showcasing 25 women. And I've got a free event, which I want to speak to you about, Maraya, as well. A free event where the world is changing, and so I want to empower women with a free event with tools from powerful women to be able to set themselves up to finish off 2022, but also start 2023 off strong, because we need to have these tools to navigate for the next 15 to 2 years as we do this economic contraction. But also understand that, you have this moment in time. And where you are right now, it's not a forever thing. You don't have to stay where you are right now. And if you have been somewhere for an extended period of time, granted there are exceptions, but in most cases, people stay because of choice. They stay there because they choose to stay in that state. And I'm a believer that you could totally change day one today. Like, start today, make your day one today, and just take baby steps. And you'll get there. You really will. And I'm just an example of someone that's never given up.
Yeah, I love it. Well, yes, to whatever it is. I love being invited to things. So if you want to invite me to speak, you want to invite me to contribute to a book. Yes, I love being invited to things. And thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm sure for those of you listening on the podcast, all of her reach outs and social media stuff to reach out to Elsa is there in the show notes. For those of you listening in the Facebook group, in the description of this. And also, I think that there's value in saying thanks to Shamina Taylor. We both coached with Shamina.
It's amazing.
And that's how the two of us met. And she works in the manifestation space and helping women really drop into their feminine power and receive and attract abundance. Part of that being monetary abundance, but also abundance of all things.
Yes.
And so just want to give a thanks to Shamina for being there to support both of us and creating a container where we could meet. And we get to rewrite those stories of, what was it that you said about not trusting women, to create a container where we get to rewrite those stories. Yeah,
absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. So good stuff. Thank you, Elsa. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being you. Thank you for who you are out in the world.
I've had so much fun, Maraya. Thank you so much.
Of course.